Hello, and welcome to the Miramichi Historical Linkages Podcast. I'm Sean McCarthy, joined as always by Sarah Ward and Tasha Smith, and our special guest today from Shiftwork Recording, Dylan Ward. Welcome, Dylan.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us today. So this podcast really is kind of about hearing people's stories and maybe understanding the connections that they've been able to make in the course of what they do for a living or in the course of their lives. So maybe just to kind of start off with, you can kind of let us know how you got involved in music and became a recording engineer and the connections that you've been able to make.
Yeah, sure. So I started playing music when I was pretty young. I first got introduced to the guitar from my brother, my older brother, Devin, who's 4 years older than me. So he started learning the guitar, and I guess I just kind of wanted to be like him. So then I started learning the guitar, and I just kind of stuck with it. He kind of stopped playing and stuff, but I just kind of stuck with it. And then my friends were really into music. I was always really into music when I was young as well. So then we just all started learning instruments and then started a band. And then I played in bands all through high school. It was the thing I just loved to do. And when it came time when I was graduating and figuring out what I wanted to do, there was a recording school, recording college here in Fredericton, and I decided to go there.
So, Dylan, like I say, maybe you can tell us, how being involved in music has allowed you to kind of connect with other artists, or and just generally maybe some of the stories from your time as a recording engineer.
Yeah, sure. Literally all of the people in my life, all my friends, how I met my fiance was all through music. So it's just a great way to connect with people. Music is so universal, and there's a strong connection with people who you are in a band with, because it's all like for fun. It's all just like everybody does it for themselves because it's self-fulfilling. You don't go into music to make money, or you can, and fame like that can come at some point. But really for most of us, it's just something that we feel kind of compelled to do. And we get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So when you get a group of like-minded people who enjoy that kind of thing together, and then play a band, you really kind of get a strong bond. I think, like I said, that's how I met my fiance. We play in a band together now called Marion. Two of my groomsmen are the other two guys in the band who I've been playing music with for almost 10 years now. So, I mean, there's just, there's nothing better, really. It's fun to have those kind of people who are just great people in general, but then we all, love to be creative together and to create things and to, just have fun, I guess. And then how it kind of got into recording when I was in high school, my goal was always to just like have my own CD because I thought that would be really cool.
Sure.
And me and my friends were just playing around with recording. We all kind of like got all of our gear together and were able to have enough to kind of make something happen. Made my first CD. It was awesome. I was thrilled. And then I had bands who were also making their own music. And they were like, hey, can you record stuff for us? Because we have a few songs and stuff. So I started recording bands in high school. And that's when I started to kind of think, oh, maybe I can do something with this. And there are careers out there for people who want to record music. So I went to the recording school here in Fredericton, it's no longer here now, but which is unfortunate. But it was called the Center for Arts and Technology when I was there. Eventually, it was called Da Vinci College. I worked there for a little bit too. It was a good time. And yeah, I've just kind of been doing it ever since. And it's only now, I started, I went to school there in 2011, graduated 2013. And it's only been since like 2019, maybe 2020 that I like officially kind of had a studio. And now it's pretty much what I do full time, which is awesome.
Yeah. One thing about we would try to connect Miramichi, the history of Miramichi, and the links to Miramichi. And one thing about Dylan, his band, Dylan is not only a Ward, he's also Curtis. So about his band, he named his band after your grandmother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a funny story. So my grandmother's name is Marion. And my grandfather's name was Vincent. And I always thought they were just that's two just old names, like classic names. And I always enjoyed those two names. So when I moved to Fredericton to go to recording school, I kind of stopped playing in bands. I just, I didn't really know a lot of people here, and I just kind of focused on being in school. But when I graduated, I got back into playing in a band, but I was playing bass. And before, like, I had always played guitar and I sang, and I was always writing my own songs and stuff. But in this band, I was just playing bass, doing some backup vocals and stuff like that. But it was really, really fun for me. It was a great time. And I would like post about, the band having shows and stuff like that on Facebook. And my grandmother, Marion, who is on Facebook, would like message me and be like, oh, I think that's cool that you're in this band, but like, why aren't you singing in the band? Like, you should be singing in the band. And I'm like, well, because I'm the bass player and, it's this other guy's band and stuff like that. And she was just like, yeah, okay. So she had like no interest in this other band that I was in. Is kind of how I read into it. And she just wanted me to be singing and performing my own songs. And I was like, okay, well, thanks, Graham. But when it kind of came time where I kind of stepped into that position again, I thought it would be a good homage to her to name the band after her and be like, okay, Graham, here you go. I'm playing and singing again. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Very good, supportive Graham. I love having supportive grandparents.
Yeah, she's great. I actually, we just came out with our like first album. It was released last year in April. And I had to mail her 2 copies of the CD because she wanted one. And then she wanted to give one to the people at her like bingo meetup. Cool. And to like show to play for them or whatever because they had like a CD player, and I was like, okay, I'll send you 2. No worries.
Oh, that's awesome. Earlier when you were explaining to us on how you got onto your journey of becoming a producer for Music Now, I could hear the passion, and it sounded really awesome that you could find, like you said, like-minded people as yourself who wanted to share this love of music you guys have. And it got me thinking about one of our previous podcasts with Elder Tully Paul. And he had mentioned that it's extremely important to know the songs and the history behind them. And when I was reading a little bit about your work, and I seen that you played with a few other artists at the Snow Dome. Was it this past January? It was. Mm-hmm. And I was watching the videos of your guys' interview, and I'm unsure of who it was, but it was a lady that was singing with you. And she was also expressing the importance of songs and the stories behind it, and that you guys are doing it in a sense to help promote and share culture and knowledge and respect. That's how I kind of understood it. I don't know if that's exactly how you guys are trying to get it out there, because as it was stated, there's a lot of Indigenous artists out there that just not known about yet as yet. Hopefully we can get that more promoted out there for everyone to listen to the different types of genres of music that we all create. And just really happy to see you guys, even though you're individual artists, you guys come together to promote all of you guys together in a sense. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for saying that. Yeah, that group of people, it's a collection of 4 different Indigenous songwriters. So it's Judy Aquin, Matt Cummo, Quinn Bonnell, and myself, who are all Indigenous artists. And that group came together kind of, it came together last Truth and Reconciliation Day. So a booker here in town wanted to put on basically an Indigenous songwriter circle on that day to play the show so that we could share stories and promote Indigenous artists and stuff like that. So we all got together and we played the show, and it was so awesome. Like, we just had a really, really great time. And so we just kind of kept doing it, basically. So we did it at the Snow Dome. We're going to play some other festivals this summer. And it's like slowly starting to like become a band as well. So like we've talked about like collaborating with songwriting together. And it's just we talk about it a lot, like why it kind of works and why it's so fun. But the thing that we kind of go back to is, like you said, there are a lot of Indigenous artists out there. There's a lot of Indigenous musicians. And for whatever reason, we're kind of hard to find. And I don't know why that is. But I think by having Indigenous artists showcasing, playing shows, being a part of festivals, and just being out there in the public, these younger Indigenous artists or whoever can kind of see themselves doing what we're doing, because they can. Like, there's no reason why they can't. And it's kind of like there has to be the opportunity. Somebody has to make the space for it to happen. And then there also has to be the inspiration to take the plunge, to just do it. And the Indigenous Songwriter Circle is a cool avenue for that, because it's 4 different artists. We all have our own stories. Yet we are collaborating and supporting each other in this group sort of thing. So it's been really fun. And I see a lot of positivity. I see a lot of positivity coming out of it. So yeah, we're gonna keep doing it.
I think one of the thing about you doing your music as an Aboriginal artist today differs from my generation of Indigenous artists, because I grew up in the Southwest, where Indigenous music that was popular was like Redbone was one of them, The Exit, and a lot of their stories were talking about some of the movements of the Indigenous people at the time. So a lot of them were blacklisted, or their music wasn't played because it was considered to be a social protest. But you, as a young person, as an Indigenous person, you come in a different era where you're embracing and your people are listening to your music, which is interesting and which is excellent too. Not to mention you're my nephew and I brag about you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's good to see that people are being so much more inclusive, and there's a real, like people in positions of power, let's say like, people who put on festivals and stuff like that. Bookers, they are now creating more space to show all different kinds of music and all from all different kinds of people. And there seems to be a bit of a culture shift there from just your regular kind of big headliners, and I mean, there's still that stuff, but they are definitely creating more space for these things that really didn't happen too often. And I think you're really going to start to see the fruits of that in the next kind of generation for sure. Because there's, again, it's just like, if you don't see yourself up there, then how, like, you'll never get up there. Right. So, and everybody has to, you need all different kinds of people up there for people to see themselves up on stage. Right. So, seeing an Indigenous person or an Indigenous group, doing their thing, and you're Indigenous, I think would really kind of make you want to be a part of it, do it. Like, oh, I know how to play guitar. I know how to sing. I want to do what they're doing.
Absolutely. It allows for that connection for the listener and the producer to show that there's more than one person out there feeling that way or can do these things. Like you were saying, the inspiration you guys are giving to our next generation is very powerful. And I think it's a great way to approach the future in order to, like you said, bring more awareness to all the Indigenous artists and encourage them to come out and be proud of what they do and be happy to explain it to others.
There's one thing that we were talking about with the Indigenous Songwriters Group as well, is that, like, it's awesome that we're starting to play these festivals. And again, it's a cool avenue for us to get into these festivals and stuff like that. But we're also talking about, like, how do we get, like, to, people's communities and playing, and trying to do more of like okay, let's take this a step further and maybe start playing in some communities and, try to get some people from the community to open up, or just maybe they'll play their first show. And, try to do it in both areas. Right. So really looking forward to doing that and making that happen.
I think you performed during the Indigenous Day. Was it in Fredericton somewhere, St. Mary's, last year?
No, I've never actually performed in St. Mary's, but I've definitely done things all around the city for sure.
Yeah, because I know I've seen.
And again with the songwriters, I was just going to say, with the songwriters group, we're talking about doing something for Indigenous Day. Some kind of big show.
Ooh. Would it be in the Miramichi?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like I can see it in the future, like us kind of touring the group around, which would be really fun. It's still like in such its infant stages. We were just talking about, like, should we have a name to it? Or are we always just going to be the Indigenous Songwriter Circle? And it's also like, if it's an Indigenous Songwriter Circles, it can't just be us four all the time. It's like, it's a song circle, right? So it's got to include other people. So it's still very early days, but we're all very excited about it.
Okay, that kind of answers my question, because I was going to ask you, is there like a Facebook page or a social media platform that you guys put announcements on for when you are playing at festivals or any of the sort? But I'm assuming, like you said, it's kind of like in the fresh stages, so you guys haven't gotten there just yet, or?
Yeah, no, not yet. I would just say, if you follow any one of us in any of our artist pages, we always kind of promote when one of us is or when we're doing it as a group.
Okay, awesome. Because I'm gonna follow you guys then, so I know, because I'd like to get to your next one, because I missed the one in January. Shoot.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And Dylan, I guess for listeners or viewers here that are looking to follow you, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so for all of my music, you can follow my band, which is Marian, and that's spelled Marian. And we're basically Marian the band on, like, all social media platforms. And then for my recording, that is at Shiftwork Recording. So Shiftwork Recording, again, on all social media stuff. Yeah, lots of great things coming out of both of those projects. My band is right now we're writing a new album, which is really, really exciting, and it's going very, very well. And then the recording page, I work with all kinds of artists. Like I work a lot with like emerging New Brunswick artists. That's what I have a lot of passion for is helping out people who are just starting out, doing their first recording, doing their first album, and that being the kind of foundation block for them to then start playing shows, start playing festivals, and kind of get their music career going, as well as a lot of Indigenous artists as well, and just all sorts of random things, and some really cool things that are going to happen here in the future with some more community outreach workshops, kind of artist development-y sort of stuff. So definitely be on the lookout for all that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And I guess you sort of addressed it just there a minute ago, but I did want to ask as well, to kind of with your recording engineer kind of hat on, as a musician, then, you mentioned, like I say, you've allowed those, other maybe kind of people that are looking to kind of get into music, have provided them with, a means of inspiration that way. But you've also, like I say, inspired so many people as a recording engineer and facilitated, their as you say, their first steps on their journey. What has that meant to you?
It's very fulfilling. I really, really get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I like that I have my hands in kind of two different pockets of music sort of thing. One as a creative side, and then one as a more technical player, I guess, in the whole thing. But it's just a lot of fun. It's so much fun to work with a new artist and see their excitement, and for them to help them kind of make to life what is in their head and what they're hearing, and everybody's so different, and it's a challenge to try and reproduce that onto a record. But it's one that it's challenging, but it's very fun, and it's very creative and collaborative, which is what I love. And there's almost like another side of it too that is very enjoying is sometimes I work with people who are older, maybe retired and have played music all their life, but have like never really written a song, but they just wrote their first song and they've never done a recording. And now it's like, okay, I'm entering this new stage of life and I've always wanted to do music, and now I'm finally doing it. And those are just as fulfilling as somebody who's younger doing it for the first time and just embarking on that journey. It's all great. There's all sorts of cool things that come my way that I would have never expected. And I'm just excited to keep doing it for sure.
Great altogether. Well, as our time together draws to a close, any final questions before we wrap up? All righty. Dylan, anything more that you'd like to say before we close down this episode?
Yeah, I guess just to say thanks for having me. I always enjoy talking about what I do. And if anybody out there is a musician and wants some recording or just wants advice or anything like that, just reach out to me on my recording page, on my band page, wherever you can find me. Just reach out, and here to help.
Well, thank you very much, Dylan, for joining us today, and thank you very much for the great work that you're doing, in the music industry and helping, artists old and new, kind of follow their dreams, if that's not too cliche to say. Like I say, we're very appreciative of that great work, and we'll definitely be looking forward to more announcements about Marion, and then also about the Indigenous Songwriters Circle, and where you may be in the coming weeks and months.
Excellent.
So with that, we'll draw to a close for this episode of the Miramichi Historical Linkages podcast. We will see you again in 2 weeks' time. And until then, we bid you a fond farewell.
Thank you.